Osmo Nano, can it make cinematic videos or not? So last month I bought this little Osmo Nano. I mainly bought it for a POV camera, but I'm really loving it so far, mainly because of the form factor. It's just so small, so tiny. I have this case that pretty much fits the entire camera. I can just slip it into my pocket, go out. So that got me wondering, can I use this little camera to film all of my footage? Today I'm going to go out to shoot in my city in Belgium, and I'm going to put this camera to the test. Enough yapping, let's go out to shoot. Alright, made it back home, and I'm immediately going to give you my impressions now that they're still fresh. So something that I really liked, once again, is the form factor. The form factor is great. This thing is tiny. It's a joy to carry. It's not heavy at all. Something else I really enjoy is because it's so small, it's really inconspicuous. So people don't really notice compared to a big camera. So when I'm shooting in my small city and I have a big camera, then people will notice you more, they will look at you more, they will stop. So if you're a street photographer, you've probably had this happen a million times. You'll be filming something and someone will stop because they're trying to be polite, and then you have to have this whole back and forth like, oh, go ahead, go ahead. So this is very annoying for us. They're of course doing it to be polite, but kind of disrupts the flow, kind of disrupts the scene, because you know, you want someone to walk past, and yeah, you just focus, or at least I'm really focused when I shoot, so it kind of disrupts that flow. So with this camera I didn't really have that problem, because most people probably just think that you're a tourist walking around with a very small camera, just taking some videos of your trip or something. So nobody really stopped. I think one lady looked backwards, but usually when I go out, people will talk to me more when I have my big camera. Another thing that really surprised me is the battery life. So I had it almost fully charged. I think it was like at 80%. So for people who don't know, you have the dock and you have the camera, and they're both separate batteries. So once your camera battery is low, you can connect it to this dock and then it will continue charging. So I left the house with my camera on 100% and my dock on 80%, and right now my camera is still at 100% and my dock is at 10%. I did turn it off and on whenever I record a scene, but I was gone for at least an hour or two, so I still pretty much have my entire camera battery charged, which is great because it's something that I really worried about, but doesn't seem to be a problem. Some of the negatives that I noticed, first of all, is the focal length. It's very wide, it's 17 millimeters, so this works for a lot of scenes, but it doesn't work for a lot of scenes as well. So it's kind of a mix, you know, you're kind of limited to the focal length. And like with any lens, this kind of limits the things that you can take pictures of or that you can take videos of. So for a lot of scenes it was sufficient. So in my city there's a lot of small streets, so it kind of worked out to my advantage. But if I wanted more of a detail shot or a close-up shot of something, then kind of became a problem. If you love capturing people, then I can't really recommend this camera because you'll have to get up really close. You have to be up in their face if you want to get a decent shot. But for scenes and stuff like that, it worked fine. Sometimes it came short, but for the most part, it was fine. The other downside is the image stabilization. So there is some, but compared to my Sony a7 IV and my Osmo Pocket, which has a gimbal, the image stabilization isn't that great. I'm very shaky myself, so I had the camera like this the entire time on this little tripod, which by the way doesn't really work out because it doesn't lock, so I'll have to buy a new one if I want to continue using this. But yeah, it's just very shaky. Something that's kind of a downside. You can of course fix a little bit of it in post, but it's of course not comparable to a high-end camera or something on a gimbal. Then the footage itself, so I haven't really checked it yet. Like I said, I just got back and I just want to give you my first impressions straight away when they're still fresh. But I'm going to look at it in a minute and then I will tell you what I think of the footage. So I'm done looking at the footage and I have to say I am genuinely impressed. It's a lot better than I first thought it would be. Obviously I can tell a difference between this footage and the footage of my Sony a7 IV and my Osmo Pocket even. So I can definitely tell that the sensor is a little bit smaller, but for a camera this size it's really impressive. And for content that I make, so I mostly make content for social media and YouTube, for content like that I think this quality might be sufficient a lot of the times. So one thing that does really annoy me and that I can really tell looking at the footage is, first of all, you can't manually focus. So it has fixed focus. You can't tap the screen and change focus. So this is super annoying. Another thing that really annoys me is the aperture. So the aperture is fixed at 2.8. So for what I do, mostly street and child photography, it's really annoying sometimes. So you just have less control of a scene, and I like being able to control my focus. I like being able to control my aperture. So this is definitely something you should take into consideration. So final verdict, would I recommend this camera for cinematic videos? Honestly, it's a mixed bag. It works for some scenes, but it doesn't work for a lot of other scenes. It works for certain situations, but the lack of control kind of annoys me a lot. So yeah, I don't know. So me personally, I will definitely still use this camera for POV shots, and I will bring it occasionally when I just want something very small. But for the most part, I think I would just use my regular camera or my Osmo Pocket, which is also very small, because I just really hate the lack of control. Hope you guys liked this video. Hope it was kind of useful. It was kind of a roller coaster ride because I genuinely left home feeling really happy. I got great results. When I came back, I was also really happy. But in the end, I just realized that control is really important. And I just love having a little bit more control over my gear. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video.